Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask Ms. Myrz, where we answer your most burning questions and solve your most nagging problems. I won't always know the answer, but I'll know someone who will. Doom scrolling on Facebook, which is not a good thing to do. I feel the dark cloud of the collective energy on my feed and everyone's anxiety, depression, and stress about these troubling times. There was a bright spot in the cloud last week when I chanced upon our guest offering free sessions on journal writing for mental health, and I contacted her immediately. Scientific studies have shown journal therapy to have as much as 83 mental and physical health benefits. There's something cathartic about getting it off our chest and dumping it all on paper or screen to help us reflect and process our thoughts and get clarity and regain our sense of control and well being. Here to teach us the process that has helped her through her own struggles is writer, editor, yoga teacher, mental illness and breast cancer survivor, Miss Alya Honasan. Hi,
Hi.
Alya. Good
Hi, good
morning.
morning. Hi, Mirza. Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you very much. Maraming
Right.
salamat. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
What's the latest thing you wrote in your journal? If it's okay to share it with us.
Oh, no, it's really just about because one of the things that I do tell people is you don't just write when you're feeling bad. So I just wrote
Okay.
some
Right.
I just wrote I just wrote some thank yous because I found my dog so cute. So I wrote something about how
Oh.
they're such gifts. So how about how and I'm glad you mentioned screen because that's the way that's evolved now. People are
Right.
writing
Right. Right.
people are writing on their screens. You don't have to, if you're like me and you have terrible handwriting, you don't have to you don't have to live with it. Just use your computer. That's in the last few years I've been using my computer for journal entries.
So tell us
Yeah.
how you came to practice journal writing and how did it help you?
Journal writing is like I tell people when they ask about this. I'm not a therapist. Thank you for clarifying that. Journal therapy is, however, a legit form of therapy. So I'm not a therapist. So I'm not gonna be offering any cures or any solutions. But no, I think journaling when we were younger was called
Right.
diary, writing in your
Yes.
diary, and we had these little. The cuter the better. I
With a
think
lock.
with the lock to make sure your kid brother didn't open it up or
Yes,
anything like
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, so that's how it started, and then a lot of it is really just expressing what you feel. No, and I notice, of course, as we get older, those issues become, of course, a little more adult and a little more difficult, and so I just kept at it, and then of course it migrated to online. So I have entire like you mentioned, I'm a cancer survivor. I have an
Wow.
entire folder. I have an entire folder
Wow.
on that whole. In fact, the title of that folder is wrong. BITCH. No, that's what I called my. That's what I called my cancer survival folder.
Right.
And then I have depression journals and stuff, and then but they're all I just type them down. No, so yeah, it's I don't do it as every day because as a writer you don't need the catharsis. But I think a lot of people who are intimidated by the act of writing need a little
Right.
nudge. A little nudge. They think it's a little daunting, but I don't think that the whole point is to try to tell them that no, it doesn't matter. No,
Right. And
yeah.
how is it different? How is journal therapy different from just keeping a diary?
Okay. There's certain, I think, well, I just read about it and stuff. The thing about it is that you really write it down. You try to put a little bit of a discipline into it. And you don't, none of this drama that after you write it, you crumple the paper and throw it away, that's no, please. No, so, I mean, you want to be able to put that down so that you can go back to it, actually. In fact, for depression, one of the first things that you learn to do is that you try to really go back to your issues and look them in the eye. And then, one really nice way to get those issues down is to put them on paper, no? And then you read it, and even if it's painful, you read it until it's no longer as frightening as it used to be. That's the whole point of that. And then it's quite validating. I hear people say that when they write it down, it's it's true. It wasn't true for them until they wrote it down. And
Right.
the nice thing is that this thing doesn't get censored. You don't have to show it. Although in journal therapy, your therapist will ask you to show them what you wrote, I think, no? But here you don't have to show anybody. And
Right.
the thing is, I think I also teach online English workshops. I'm such a stickler
Okay.
for
Oh,
grammar
okay.
and stuff. But
Right,
first,
right.
I'm a stickler for grammar and everything there. But I'm telling you now that in journal writing, none of that matters. So,
Right. Because people might
don't.
say, baka pangit yung English ko,
Correct. What's
or
that? Or conscious. Please do not be conscious. That's the whole thing. It's just for you. It's just a conversation with yourself. So no need to edit, no? In fact, that's the important thing is that you don't edit. No, nothing is off limits. So just keep writing what you want to write. Yeah.
and how much do you dump on the paper, and how often should you do it? Like lahat na
Okay.
lang ng pumasok, lagay
And then
mo
no,
or what?
that's another thing that they try to. If you're regular, I think you have a routine already. But what we want to avoid is that you know how people muni, then
Right.
muni. So that's kind of like a little bit. It's not as efficient. If I want to use that word, it sounds a little too clinical for something like this. But
Right, right.
they actually have a suggestion that I try to suggest to people. If you're not used to it, why not give your time yourself? You do like 20 minutes a day,
Okay.
write whatever comes to mind, and then when the alarm rings, just wrap up your sentence and stop it. So for some people, that's an eternity, 20 minutes. For some, it's not enough for all what they want to say. But it's also a discipline because sometimes when you limit yourself, just as an introductory discipline, you learn to sort of like get to the point. No, you get to the point.
Right.
So yeah, you do that for a while, and then when it becomes a little bit more easier for the words to come out, then you don't have to stick to that. But
Right.
we don't want people to sit down for like 2 hours, 3 hours, gaze at things, and
Right.
yeah,
Right. And kahit Tagalog, 'di ba? Some people
of
might say,
course.
"Naku, baka dapat English." They're like self-criticizing already.
Yeah. See,
Lahat.
that's one of the main things you want to get rid of. No self-criticizing, any language, profanity welcome. In fact, we did this once with Charmaine Buencamino, the Julia Buencamino Foundation. It's deals with young people with depression also. So when they combine that with art, you can doodle on your page, you can write
Right.
whatever. Yeah, you can go off on different tangents. You're writing something, then you suddenly decide to write a letter to somebody because there are different forms. You just want to tell them that you can do this. You can write it as a letter. You can write it as a list. The list is the most. Writing a list is the easiest way if you to sort of like get it going. If you can't think of anything, write a list of something, and then it'll go from there. So stuff like that, and then. No, ano lang, you just keep riding with it, no? So okay lang,
Right.
welcome, yeah.
So specifically for the pandemic, I mean, as I said, doom scrolling on Facebook. Just last night, I saw somebody post,
Yeah,
"I'm having a panic attack. Anyone else?" And then ang daming nag-comment
yeah,
na, "Me too, me too,
yeah.
me too." So specifically
Oh.
for the pandemic, what do you see are the things that are giving people anxiety, except, of course, including, of course, fear of the
Getting
coronavirus
sick,
and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
What else do you see are plaguing people's minds?
The uncertainty, the thing is that people who have been diagnosed with mental illness are already having some difficulty, but
Right.
well, not to make it sound funny, but we're kind of used to being, in this state. But people who didn't have anxiety and depression before suddenly
Right.
finding themselves confronting
Yeah,
it, which
I
is
did. I
a little
did.
scary. Yeah, everybody does to some degree because what bothers you, the uncertainty, the loss of, I mean, especially for people like me who like to plan things, no, and then
Right.
suddenly you've got the rug pulled out from under you, and then being alone, people who live alone are under a lot of pressure. It's sort of like they think it's okay for the first couple of weeks, and then after that it's really very, because we're people, we need interaction also. So that's the loneliness is very real. Moms at home dealing with kids and going nuts need help. And we were just talking about it with another group that I'm working with, we're going to be doing webinars soon. Also the elderly, because they're so
Yes.
stuck at home. They're not allowed to do anything, and the younger people. I was just talking to Sheila Suntay. She's also into adolescent depression. She's helping adolescents. Suicide cases went down because the parents are right there watching you because you're
Okay.
stuck at home.
Okay.
But that's also not good for your mind, no? I mean, it's a little bit. So your relationship can go other way. You either become much closer or you want to kill each other inside the house, no? So that's kind of difficult. So many different ways it's really popping up, you know. So
Right. So with all the issues that you mentioned, there are thousands of emotions that can come out, right? You
yeah,
can
yeah,
unload like your annoyance with, let's say,
yeah,
family members
yeah.
or
Because your journal is not going to judge. No, you can write something
right,
that's supposedly taboo, like, I hate my mom. I mean, that sounds awful, but the difference is that when you write it down in an adult journal, after a while, you're encouraged to go back to it and say why. I mean, the most important question actually in journal writing is why. Why did I write this?
right,
What do I mean? So you've got to learn from it, because the main thing really about this is really a tool for you to get to know yourself better. That's the
right,
most important thing, no? And consequently, to help yourself, because we have lost this opportunity to, some people will, gather our friends, have drink, and talk about all the crap that's happening
right.
to us, but that's not
Wala nang
happening.
ano,
All right, that's not
venting.
happening. And so some of us are quite escapist that way, no? So we don't want to face it. We'll face it with our friends and everything. But here's, if you're an adult and you haven't done that all your life, now's the time to do so. Really like get to know yourself a little more. And because even for depressives like me, who are, seeing professionals and still living with the disease, the long term goal naman is to really learn to help yourself, not to keep running to an external source, no? So
Right.
parang that's one thing that journaling can help you. Anytime that you're feeling bad, you don't have to dump on your friend or somebody. You could try dealing with it yourself, and you actually learn that you're able to, no? So that makes things a little easier.
So would you say it's like a free form of therapy?
Medyo, yeah,
Be-
free form. No, nobody's gonna censure. But when I try to do that little thing, I give you certain forms that you can, there's a
Right,
name for it. You can do this.
right,
You can try that, yeah. But there's nobody's gonna censure you. Nobody's gonna tell you, hey, mali yan. You're not supposed
right,
to
right,
journal that way. No such thing.
right.
No such
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah.
even if you vent on Facebook, people will
Yeah,
comment and judge, di ba? So
yeah,
parang
yeah,
baka
yeah.
lalong
But but that's the
detrimental.
difference. That's the difference about journaling. That's why somebody asked recently, why don't I just vlog? So because that's a problem. When we vlog or we post, we're
Yeah.
self-conscious. We're really trying to
Yes.
get external validation, trying to get people to tell us, that's fine, or ang galing mo, ganyan. Can we manage without that affirmation? Can we just affirm ourselves?
Right.
So I tell
Right.
people, don't vlog, don't blog. That's a different animal. You're not gonna go vent and let out all of your neurosis on a blog. That's a disservice also to your reader. So you journal na lang muna. I mean, don't,
Right.
if you have learnings, feel free to share it later on, but not
Right.
don't use that as your outlet. Don't use your blog as your journal.
You have the acronym RITE, and
Yes.
each letter stands for a step. So let's go to the first step. W. What do
Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
write about or say? What's top of mind?
Yep. Yep. Like Myrz was asking me, oh, that's so galing. Sabi ko, that's not original, of course.
I thought you
I
invented it on the
Oh,
spot.
di ba? Galing ko naman. Ano? No, but no, because I actually I was telling Myrz, I was reading stuff. I was reading stuff about it, and I even took this really short course on journal writing, really super short, I think just a week or something. And then, they had a lot of helpful suggestions. No? So that's what you want to do. If you, at the most basic, you want to write, no? W is, what do I want to write or say? What do I want? What's top of mind? So again, please don't practice censorship. No? Don't say, no, oh, I don't want to write that, because parang I don't want them to read it. No, no, no. What do you want to say? Fundamental question. When somebody asks you that, what's the first thing that you want to say? So what's at the top of your mind? Because that's most likely what you're worrying about right now. It's at the top of your mind. So what is it? You have to answer that question. So or if you have to sit down and you think about it. You think about
Right.
what I'm supposed to say, diba? Or what's bothering me. For some people, it will come out, and
Naturally.
naturally,
Parang
and
burning
yeah,
desire.
yes, talagang gusto mo talaga isulat,
Video
di ba?
talaga.
Yeah, and then you have to because later on you have to process that, everybody's afraid of that word, process it. Parang no, you just
Oo.
you just you just look at it. Why did I write that? Kunyari, you wrote nga, I feel my heart is so broken, parang that's the top of mind, and then that's what you write.
Right.
Yeah. Yun, parang that's the first step. You really have
So
to ask.
kahit for people who are blocked, do you have like prompts or clues or
Okay. Yeah, there. No, but yeah, you can. If this is bothering you, look. I was saying the most effective way. You ask yourself. Okay, you simplify it. List down 5 things that are pissing you off today. Kasi most people when they list, you feel a sense of purpose. It's like
yes,
doing your grocery or your to-do list. Okay,
right.
simplify it. Or who do I miss? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I most want to talk to? You put whether it's a fantasy person or somebody, who can I
Right.
imagine talking to, ganyan. So those manganak na yan that'll have little tangential results to. So, yun. So
So
basically, what
negative lang ba, or you're saying that positive then, like my
no,
dog's so cute,
lahat. Yeah, yeah,
lahat.
yeah. In fact, di ba nauso uso nga now is what they call those gratitude journals where all you do is list down
Yes.
things you get. That's really good. That's so healthy. So parang feeling ko, don't tell yourself na, wala akong angst today, wala akong emo, I can't write. No, that's not the case. No? In fact, when you review, because that's why I'm saying put it down somewhere, because it's really very helpful when you go back on it. When I look back at my old stuff and I realize, sheesh, what was I thinking? Or imagine ganyan ako dati, and then you get better, and then you see
Right.
the pain, but you can handle it. Parang you it's very affirming when you see how far you've come. So keep that.
Right.
Don't throw it away. Don't make a dramatic chuchu. Isulat mo yung letter mo sa ex mo, tapos sunugin mo. Wala na. Huwag mo gagawin yan. No?
So kailangan itago para may reflection.
Tago mo. And don't say, ay, nako, I don't want to think. No, because you really, for it to be constructive, nilabas mo siya. It's a fact. It's a truth
Right.
about you. Don't deny it, diba? You don't want to
Right.
bury that now. Yeah.
And like they say, diba, every emotion is valid. So don't
Yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
don't like
Absolutely.
minimize your feelings or say,
Oh, yeah. Nahihiya ako,
ate ba
wala.
yun? Diba?
Oh, but no, para wag naman yun. But but conversely also, remember also, you're putting down these emotions, but what they always tell people when we for therapy, for psychiatry, is that you are not your emotions. You're writing them down to recognize them, but don't think of them as completely what you are. Kunyari, sinulat mo doon na masyadong madrama, nakakahiya.
Mm.
But, wag mo you're being overly dramatic does not constitute completely what you are, diba? So you parang that's just one aspect, and you just want to be able to control them in a constructive way, diba?
Right.
Yun.
Okay, after
Yeah.
we dump everything, we reflect.
No, ask muna. Yon, ask ka muna, isip-isip ka muna, what
Uh-uh.
are those? So it's very detailed. So first you ask the questions, and then you reflect and you answer them. Parang
Right.
medyo matagal na isipan yan eh. And for some people, sometimes I also encourage them. Depends on what you believe in, no? You can either think of a higher power. Some people use this as meditation time. Prayer is, welcome no matter what or who you pray to, di ba? So parang you think of, sige Lord, sige na, bahala ka na. Parang linawin mo yung utak ko. And then that's when you write the answers. Parang you think about it. You think about it and then you write down your answers. Parang it's very basic. You just ask yourself the question and then you write the question and then you answer them. For example, you ask your question, guys. You're asking yourself, why do I feel so down? And what's your answer? I feel worthless. I feel unloved. Galit na galit ako kay tut 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 Di ba? Lahat na nagmura. Di ba? I remember my journals when I was in college. Alam mo yung ano, di ba? We used to keep
Oh,
those book. And then yung isang buong pahina,
oh.
mura yun, di ba? Or something. Or, di ba ganon? I mean, that's how it is. When you look at
Right.
it, and when I look back on it nga, parang you realize na, okay, so that's how intense it would get, di ba? Or parang, it's always a learning experience. So you really get to know yourself more. So you answer those, and there's no limit to that. You just keep writing your answers. I feel betrayed. I feel inis. I feel irrelevant. I feel helpless, especially now, di ba? I feel helpless. I feel na so and so could do more for me, or I so and so abandoned me. I feel that this tooth is so tooth, ganyan. Parang,
Right.
parang just write the answers, because finally, I read also something that the therapist said na, finally, when she saw it on paper, she realized, okay, I exist, I'm valid, the feeling is valid, kasi it's on paper na eh. For some people, that's how they feel it. It ain't real until they put it down in
Right.
writing. And then another person also said na when sinulat niya, when she wrote it down, it suddenly became externalized. Like, this is how I feel. It's out of me. Actually, I can walk away from the journal or the computer and feel a little bit lighter because I've let it out. Diba? Which is
Right.
both symbolic and actually quite literal also, diba?
So para
Yun.
siyang toilet, you excrete
Correct!
all the crap.
Excrete the crap, but like most good doctors, don't flush it yet. Huwag mo muna
Okay.
tignan mo
Analyze
muna,
muna natin yung
analyze mo muna.
stool.
Tignan muna what kind of things are floating around
Mga
there.
mikrobyo.
No, you want to find out what you're holding out inside. I mean, even from a physiological point of view, that's so valid. You look at it,
Yes.
if there's strange things there, then you have a problem.
Right.
But,
Oo.
if it looks decent, then, okay. And
Right.
then after you've studied it, that's when you can flush it and,
And
there
then
you
we
go.
investigate the crap.
Yes. Yeah, investigate the crap. Like I said earlier, the most important question, which some people don't realize when you write in your journal, is you have to ask why. As in talagang kakulitan na talaga yan. For example, you write nga, I feel sad. Why? Because I miss my ex, Chuchu. Why?
Okay.
Because, he made me feel loved. Why? Because he
Why?
was, yeah, parang ganun, ang kulit mo talaga. And then
Parang bata.
para bata, because it goes down. If you answer the question honestly, you actually are able to strip itself down to its basic motivation, diba? And you end up with realizations that you have some unfulfilled needs. You have certain, diba? There's a certain school of psychology that says that if a certain need of yours was not fulfilled at a certain age, magiging issue yan later in life, diba? Things like that. Na parang, so there's so much theory to it, but of course every person is different, no? So yeah, you have to keep and this is the hard work, eh. This is the basis actually of psychotherapy, when you go to a shrink and they won't let you go, diba? I don't know some people here who have been to a psychiatrist or a counselor who is very incisive and very I mean, I've experienced that. My shrink, hi Dr. Ju. Nagdagdag flagging talaga. But, psychotherapy, when they're able to really ask you and put you through the process of investigation, it's exhausting. People shirk away from this because they get tired and they get
Yeah.
afraid, especially people na escapists. But you realize that you're never gonna get over that issue until you look it in the eye, di ba?
Right.
You have to I always like to say, you grab your demons by the horns and you really look at it, no? For some people who do have mental illness, that can't happen nga unless they take meds or they get therapy. But that's the temporary help that you get from medication. You're buffered so that you can look at these demons, especially if they're painful, di ba? If you're not, diagnosed with mental illness, kaya mo. You can sort of like look at this a little bit more. So don't be afraid to look at them because that's paper, okay? But it's in front of you, it's out of you. You can look at it and kaya mo. The fact that you're able to write it down means that you have the strength to, just think hypothetically, you have the strength nga to tear that paper and throw it away. But you look at it, why? You uncover more. And this doesn't happen in one sitting, no? Sometimes there are days when you uncover something else and then it's a continuous process of self-learning. Yeah, learning
So
about yourself.
what if what's upsetting you is something beyond your control? Let's say you're mad at the government because the vaccines are so slow in
Yeah,
coming,
yeah,
or they're
yeah,
so
yeah,
careless, and you feel
yeah.
the sense of helplessness. And as we put in our title, na, despair. How do
Despair,
you,
yeah, despair,
diba? How do
despondent.
you even process that? Like, kahit why ka ng why, hindi mo
Oh,
malaman yung
yeah, yeah.
sagot.
No, well, first of all, you have to realize that, ano nga, part of it is that part of healthy dealing with this is realizing that there's some things really that you can't control. Because if you want to change it by yourself, masisiraan ka talaga ng ulo, di ba? Short of doing something subversive and, uh, uh, stuff like that. So, the journaling really just helps you let those feelings out because you're not gonna feel that way 24/7, di ba? What
Right.
you want to do for your own peace of mind and mental health, you do not want to stay with this feeling
Right.
for,
Right.
for a long time. You'd like to be able to what I tell people is that you'd like to be able to stop when you start thinking kasi like even now, even you, if we start thinking about the next 6 months and next year, na overwhelmed tayo, di ba? Parang more of this, nakakalurity, di ba? Parang, talagang ganun talaga, di ba? Parang more of this. So, don't do that. You just do your planning. I mean, do your practical planning. Don't naman be masyadong, I'm not gonna buy food, or I'm not gonna anything. But, you do your practical planning. But, I keep bringing up my dogs because animals teach us so much about living in the
Right.
moment. So you have to be in here. I saw a little sign in a drink of all places. Little arrow siya nakalagay. Wherever you are, be there. Wherever you are, just be
That's a
there.
good
Don't,
one.
diba? It's in a drink pa talaga. No? It was in some kind of cocktail. Sabi ko, okay, yung bartender, deep. Anyway, so, but the thing is, you don't try to, because that's one thing also. That's a depressive tendency. Yung tinatawag natin na in Tagalog is very sasakyan mo. Alam mo 'yon? Sasakyan mo yung
Okay.
feeling, you ride it. You ride it until
Right.
it snowballs. It becomes a full-fledged anxiety attack because you kept thinking of
Right.
something that wasn't really,
Naipon.
naipon. And then, so, do something productive. I mean, sometimes I get up and then even if it's 9 p.m., I do a Leslie Sanson walk at home workout just to get my, yan, di ba, yung mga ganun-ganun ka. Tapos, things like that, you read good stuff, you watch funny videos, you watch BTS, ayan, biglang nabuking na army ako. Anyway, so, so you watch things that make you happy, or you do something like that's why all of these people are baking fantastic sushi bakes and ube
Right.
pandesal. That's what they did in a productive way,
Right.
diba? So
Right.
it's okay, you are frustrated, and the frustration has no obvious solution unless you do something or somebody does something really drastic. But for now, you want to be able to, it's not, I don't want to say live with it because it's not a good thing that you accept it, but for now, don't stew in that bad feeling, di ba?
Stew is a
Yeah.
good word. Yeah.
So you're marinating all that negativity. Parang no,
Right.
parang it's gonna be bad for you, and they probably won't care. No, they don't know, they don't give a toot what you're thinking. But parang help yourself that way. Help yourself that way. There, people are able to do things. People feel better when they do things to help other people, and you do things that are like right now there's I think there's limited ayuda, so I know many people who are gathering resources to give away some ayuda. So if that makes you feel
Right.
better, that's fine. No, I mean, just channel it. Don't
Right.
Yeah, that's the word. Don't stew in it, otherwise.
Right.
Oh yeah,
So
you're
we
gonna.
want to dump the crap so we're not constipated in the head.
Yes,
Live in the moment.
mental constipation. You're living in the moment.
Right.
So much more difficult than people say. People live for the now, di ba? Parang,
Right.
alam mo, dali, but I think by nature we get really antsy, no? Parang,
Right. Right.
yes, but parang, but you really, it's just a little bit of focus. Like if you're looking at a flower or you're looking at something beautiful, really look at it. Don't think of some things in the back of your head. No? Try to really let it go. That's where things like meditation and yoga and other mindful exercises help you, kasi they allow you to really look at what's right here in front of you lang for now.
Right.
No? now. Yeah.
Right. It's hard because you see some people are so productive. Like last year, I know somebody who learned the language, who
Oh,
wrote a
correct, correct. Oh,
book, and then some people are so catatonic that they can't
ah,
even
no,
move, diba?
I can't even. Yun. So,
Oh,
what I notice is those who are so excited to do that, it's good for them. But at one point also, that doesn't exempt them from despair, right? In the middle of all of your sushi baking, biglang realize mo na ganito na lang talaga. And
stress eating.
stress eating, oh my God,
Oh,
di ba?
yun.
Ako rin, first few months, I gained 6 pounds yata. Then I realized, oh sige, babala naman. Tapos, depends. But, and then those naman who are catatonic, you allow them that for a while. But, you can't be catatonic until now. If it's a
Right.
year later, you can't, somebody's got to, you've got to get up and, one of the first things you can do is you get up and write or get out of yourself. That's what they keep saying, diba? You get out of
Yeah.
your own little head,
Right.
your own head also, because
Dump it
uh,
all. And
yeah,
let
dump
it.
it all. And then, I mean, I always would say an attitude of gratitude also helps. Parang we're here, we've got, we've still got food on the table and stuff, but other people don't. So baka we can do something about it, diba? Or something like that. Parang just think, just think outside of your little box. It's not really a
Right.
box, but,
Okay.
so
The next one is to
time
time
yourself.
yourself.
For me, that's a discipline. Some people are asking, why do I have to do this? I thought it was a free form,
Right.
chever. No, sa akin, it's
Chever.
chever. If you've never done this before, you will tend to ramble also. I mean, not
Right.
that rambling wrong, but you don't want to sit there for 3 hours and just have produced like 4 lines or something, or just sit there and muni and wala. You wrote something and it's unresolved, no? For people, this helps. Alam mo, I don't know. That's the first time I read it. When I first read, sabi ko, I really? Ganyan. So you sit down, and then recommended time is 20 minutes. For some
Okay.
people, because number one, parang kang you're sort of like, there's a little bit of healthy pressure for you to, okay, let me write something down. And most likely, you will not meander anymore. You will be to the point, di ba? You'll just get to the point. So that's when you really said, I feel like killing ganyan today, ganyan. So you get to the point. You get to the point. For some people naman, yun, nakatingin sila, parang ang tagal ng 20 minutes, wala sila. That's when I tell people nga, there you can rely on the other forms, like you want to make a list, or you write down a memory, you describe a scene in your head, like, it can either be the last time you talked to this person who you lost during the COVID, things like that. And or you can write a letter, dear ganyan, whoever you want to address, somebody you lost, somebody you want to kill, whatever. Basta it's because it gives you sort of like a direction. So you can do that. And then write what you can, and then they even call it a sprint kasi talagang write ka ng mabilis, whatever comes to mind. And then pag ganyan, timer, then you wrap it up. And then you realize na, okay, marami pala ako sulat in 20 minutes. So you do that for a few days and then you stop. And then always, before you start timing the next one, you look at what you read last time. So for me, that's such a
May review.
Yes, may review, may revelatory process. No matter how painful or how pangit it is what you wrote, because now you're a little bit, not, what they say, diba? Tinulugan mo na, you slept on it. The next day you go, why did I write that? Or I wonder, where did that come from? And then when the questions start, that's when the self-knowledge begins. Diba? The self-learning begins, yeah.
So you could do an analysis of past entries and write it off.
Yeah. When you say analysis, that's what I say. You take off from there. For example, like yesterday, nabitin ako writing 20 minutes about that particular experience, diba? I mean, just to be specific, I lost my mom 2 years ago, and then we were all here at her bedside. So, parang one of the things that I journaled was that last moments when she was there, because I had been praying that it would be a good, she'd sleep peacefully, none of this high drama, high pain scenario, and we got it. No, she just very quietly slipped away. And when I wrote that down, parang you can only be grateful because she passed 10 days before the pandemic. Can you imagine taking care of a sick person? Yeah, and this is home care. Can you imagine in and out yung nurses? So parang feeling ko, it was a good time. So, I try to remember. And then she gave us the opportunity. All of us were here. The whole family was by. And it was very quiet. It was very quiet. So sometimes I replay that in my head. Kasi nabitin yung, if you were writing something like that and nabitin ng 20 minutes, you just wrap up your last sentence and you leave it there muna. If you have any emotions, iyakan mo, di ba? Okay lang. And then tomorrow, I will review this and parang it's a different set of feelings. I mean, you felt sad, but tomorrow you might feel grateful kasi ganun nga nangyari, di ba? Or something. So, it's a slight review before you put on the timer again. And before you know it, you're doing this as a matter of habit, di ba? Di ba they say if you do something for 15 days, it becomes a habit. A habit. So but they tell you nga to take a break para hindi ka maluka. So you do 4 days. No, if you've never done this before, because for some people they're really daunted. I'm so surprised. But siguro we take it for granted because we write, di ba? Myrz, I mean, it's easy for us to the connection between head and fingers is fast na. Some people medyo matagal. So that's the thing. So if you do it 20 minutes for 4 days for 20 minutes, then you stop. And then you do another 4 days and then you stop. And the next thing you know, you want to do it na every day. So parang sige. And then you can do away with the phone and just like really, because you can't really sit down and journal for 3 hours a day, di ba? But if you sit down and give yourself time to write down what you had today, and it faster na rin na from ma-translate, so you already know. And that's part of clarity. Finally, you're able to immediately identify what's going on. Wala ka ng denial, even to yourself. Because a lot of us don't want to admit things to ourselves, di ba?
Right.
So parang admit it to yourself first and the rest is gonna come easy, di ba? Yun.
Right. Will it work for those super intimidated about writing, by writing? Will it work if they just talk into a recorder or iba?
Pwede rin. But the thing, if you can go back to, but the thing kasi about writing also, Myrz, is that you have to process it. Right. You have to like put it into words. I can just say, I feel sad. But when you write it down, you feel a certain sense of, paano ba? It's like when you write it down, you need to articulate it. Yun. You have to articulate it more. So, maybe I'm old-fashioned that way, but parang I think that putting it down on paper or really articulating forces
parang mas may finality pag sinulat.
Yes, or may mas concrete siya. Parang feeling ko siya, because words are cheap. Lolo lang. No, but parang it's easy to say, di ba, we say a lot of things na randomly, di ba? So, but when you write it down, ayan, recorded, and then some people who feel they cannot articulate it, they make an effort to articulate. Paglabas, they couldn't have said that. Probably would have taken them 5 sentences, and then you write it in 1 sentence, and boom, that is your that's the important thing.
Right. Okay. The next one is to end smart.
Yeah, and so, di ba? Meron pa palang ganon, ano?
Marinating.
But that's what I meant. Yeah, leave it to, so review what you wrote. Iba-iba yung reaction eh. Some people, by the end of 20 minutes, either they feel bitten, but that's part of the lesson, which means that you want to come back there. Some people, by the end of 20 minutes, they're an emotional wreck. Promise. They're like crying na. No, kasi parang nalabas mo, and then, iyak ka na ng iyak. And then, I tell people, when you get that emotional, push it away muna. Push it away. Put your computer on sleep. Close that file. Come back to it na lang. Parang, kung may mga natirang feelings, then you can process it on your own. Balay mo, there's something there that you had to let go of, no? So I really like doing this, not just as a jump-off point for your next entry. Yun, kasi if you wrote something substantial, wala ka nang muni-muni next time. Parang to continue from where I was yesterday, if you still feel like it, diba? Or if you feel like you can explore it more, diba? Kasi kunyari, nag-rant ka, puro galit, then the next day you can start with, what was that all about? Saan galing yun, diba? So when you do, it's your jump-off point. Or else, also but like I said, there's nothing more, for me, more gratifying than looking at your old journals. I still have my high school journals. I have my Sanrio. I still have my Sanrio Chever.
So ano yung mga angst mo noong high school?
Ay, nako, ang joke ko nga. Tama na yung mga every quarter, iba yung susulatan ng crush or kaaway of the moment, di ba? Yan, di ba? Hindi mo masabi yung mga sa diary mo una mo sinabi na type mo yung isang guy, di ba? Or isang person, di ba? So parang that's for me lang, it's cute how it just goes up and down and up and down, and then you realize nga may progress, and then I look at certain milestones, crisis, and then I look at what I wrote, and then I realized, oh my God, I made it through that. And for you, like yes, diba? Parang you realize na, oh, okay, so I apparently I learned from that experience. So, well, that's on the longer term, but for the yun lang, for the day to day, that's you can use it as a jump off point, and you might be surprised between yesterday and today. Nag-change yung perspective mo. You're going to bring, yeah, you might be surprised. Kasi maglagay mo, I wrote that. Hindi ka makapaniwala or something na parang, I was thinking that or ganyan. Parang, why kaya? Then the questioning continues. So, that's what you want to, di ba? I mean, the philosophers are always saying na, it's really a matter of, di ba? The Aristotle said that, was it Aristotle or Socrates? One of them dudes said that, the unexamined life, diba, is not worth living. So, yeah.
Right.
So, ganon. And self-knowledge is really all about examining your life, no? Yeah, there. So, see, that's what I mean. There. So, self-knowledge and eventually self-help. Because just from my experience, is that, kunyari, when you're depressive, parang, and then you look for a friend to dump on, Oh, tapos, or then you'll call somebody, your mga usual kaibigans. And then, they're really your friends because when I got better na, one of them goes, okay ka na? I go, oh, yeah, it's a work in progress. Kasi alam mo, boring ka na. Diniretso niya talaga niya ako. No, which is the truth. You realize, okay, because it takes a good friend to tell you that when I say boring, okay, like, I listen to you, but paulit-ulit. So pag hindi ka gumalaw from there, you know that there's no progress. And then you realize, oh nga, no, parang, why am I going back to the same issues? And then you practice, what if the issue comes up and I see if I can handle it first before I go running to, to help. And then you realize, like me, because I've been a depressive since the 90s, I like to tell people, I've been, na-promote na ako bipolar na, charot. No, so, promote talaga. So what happens is that, you can identify when you're a long time, let's say living with it for a long time. You can see when an episode is coming, I can see it a mile away. So oops, this looks like it's going to become an episode, and then you take the necessary steps or you ride it, diba? Or basta warned ka na, alam mo nang dadating yan. And it takes a little bit of, practice to know that. Yeah, mukhang you're getting all of this. So that's one thing. Like when I see something coming, I go na, I write na. I say na, okay, I'm feeling like this, ganyan. And then next thing you know, hinimay mo na, and you can help diffuse it, as it were, no? Kasi these are really, situations. So parang, that's one thing. So parang self-help. So you become, and you learn to rely on yourself, which is always a good thing. It's always a good thing because remember, nobody's going to take better care of yourself than you. No matter how much you tell yourself that your husband will do it, or your mom will do it, or your best friend will do it. No, it's really basically you before anyone else. If you have to rely on somebody else, then mahirap yun. Yeah, that's one of my.
What's your ritual?
Me,
like what time, where?
Me, I'm a night person, so sometimes that's how I end my days before I. Actually, it depends. Sometimes before I pray or do my meditation, I feel like writing, I write na. But sometimes I do the meditation first, and then it actually leads you to more insights. I know people na yung mga pa-candle, may pa-incense, or lalagay ko tatabi ko si Gudetama sa akin. I mean, he's such a mascot for depression. And he's a Sanrio character named
Gudetama. Really?
Yes, it's a Sanrio character. He's a depressed egg. Lord knows where they got that idea. He's always nakahiga. Oh, not today.
Okay.
Can you imagine? It's a testament to modern times when a company
even the egg is depressed.
A depressed character who is so popular. I swear. So, but I just, people have been giving me like that. So it's so cute lang. So yun, I put. Light a scented candle if you want to play music, but I don't play music because I don't like playing music when I write. But little things, little light. You say a little prayer. Ito pa, when you write, very Banana Yoshimoto, di ba? You put na Thursday 5 p.m. It's raining
Okay.
outside. Choo, 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 choo. No, it adds a little bit of a situation, right? When I read that in
May
my past
atmosphere.
the atmosphere. So when I was reading that in my past entries, I realized, oh nga, no, ganun pala yung, it brings you back also in more ways than one. Or ano, even like that, it's 5 p.m. and I just fought to it, ganyan-ganyan over something. Ganyan. Parang, no, it puts you there. I remember kasi Banana Yoshimoto wrote na, eating a persimmon on a spring day, parang chuchu. Sabi ko, aba,
O pati yung mga kinain.
kinain, chuchu. Parang it's ano lang, it's part of the ritual, no? And then,
Or maybe when you read it back, parang when you read it in the future, may sense of time and context.
yeah. There is. And then you're brought back there. You're brought back to the time, and like I said, you get a little wistful. You remember who you were with, or if it was a bad time and you see where you are today, it might resonate. Or
Right.
you it's always a good thing to feel stronger because you realize that you were able to hurdle that, diba? When you hurdle
Right.
that experience or that challenge, no? So it helps you think that way.
So
Yun.
March 31, 2025, pandemic
yeah.
pa rin. Pandemic pa rin.
Pandemic pa rin. It's
Wala
a
pa ring vaccine.
fifth year, di ba? Day 415 of the lockdown. Yung ganun.
So
Diba?
you said, wag itapon. Kasi
Yeah,
nakakatakot. Baka may makabasa. Paano na?
Yeah, but alam mo, drama, di ba, we see that in this mga, although I did that years ago, di ba? I'm sure we all did, may mga mga pictures na pinunit or something, ganyan. But anyway, when you wrote something, it'll be so defeating of the purpose if you wrote something really insightful and deep and then bilang dinilit mo, parang naman. Di ba?
Oh.
Sayang. So it's a little bit of it defeats the purpose. For me, it's just it's a journal. Nobody's gonna see it unless you let them. I'm not even worried about you getting hacked because what do they care? What do hackers care about your innermost feelings, right?
Or mabasa ng asawa mo yung
yung mga angst. Make sure may password ka. Yun.
Or secrets.
Another thing about the ritual pala, I'll just jump back. Now, make sure that the stuff you used to write is accessible, ha? Don't keep your journal buried under all this other stuff where it's going to take an effort to take it out. Kasi sometimes you want to take it out, mamaya tinatamad ka na, mamaya hindi ka na motivated, chu. Yung computer, dyan mo lang yung file. So that anytime you feel like, don't make it hard. So I know people who keep their pens and their actual journals just accessible, di ba? And they have especially now, there's no, when you say find a quiet place, good luck, di ba? In the house when you're all stuck at home, no? I mean, maybe when things ease down, you can walk to the nearest Starbucks or something, or sit outside the cafe. Find your place. Sit in a park, di ba? Or sit outside in your garden where people can't reach you, di ba? Or just for a while. It's really also private time, no? So just remember that don't hide the stuff. Keep them accessible, di ba? Yun lang.
Right. And you say the most important question to answer is why?
Yes, talaga. As in talaga huwag ka titigil until you get to an answer na wala nang why. That's really that's it. You've hit the mother lode, diba? This is where it comes from, diba? It can be something as fundamental as after all of this time, parang ganyan. I miss my father, who, let's say, me, I lost my father when I was very young, and feeling ko, what they say about depression kasi today, number one, it's physiological, which I believe. So those who are listening who have depression, don't ever let anybody shame you into thinking you're a weak person or it's a character flaw. Physiological. Or arte, di ba? Making arte, di ba? Parang, no, because we're wired differently. Some people have low calcium, we have low serotonin. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, it's not chemical. But that being said, that's the nature. There's also the nurture side. Na studies show that if you did have trauma early in your life, and the trauma, the gravity varies. I mean, for some of us, trauma can be something as really traumatic as abuse or molestation or whatever. And it can be as light as, a sibling not treating you well. That's already trauma when you're a young person, di ba? Something like that will push you towards that predisposition. So So it's a combination of both. So when you look back on it, sometimes that was one of my findings. Na all of this ganyan. Bottom line, I missed my father. I felt I lost something when he went. So okay, makes sense, di ba? Kind of makes sense. And you realize, and so what do I do now? I have this situation na nawala ng tatay maaga. I live with it. I learned to live with it, and I realized that, when you reflect on it, marami naman iniwan sa'yo na lessons, it's like you were really loved. It's things like that. There's so many ways na, especially, it's true what they say na if bad things don't happen to you, you don't learn to become a good person. Diba? If bad things don't happen to you, you don't get honed, does it? Diba? You don't. So it's a learning experience. I mean, of course, in the process of learning, you can hurt yourself, diba? I mean, you can get psychically hurt, but that's why you work these things out.
Right.
So why?
And if maybe you've analyzed it, you miss your father, you won't look for him in Bad Men.
Yeah. Other things like that. Diba? Ano siya so much strange behavior can be explained by a lot of unfulfilled needs. That's actually there's a hierarchy of needs that Maslow talks about. But talagang if you understand yourself, you realize, okay, it makes sense.
Right.
So you don't realize you're not just weird, or you're not just acting up. I'm hearing people that their kids are acting up at home. The ones who are not so hard, they're acting up. What do you mean? Why are they acting up? Why are they being difficult? Parang
Siyempre, nakakulong.
Nakakulong, di ba? Walang barkada, di makalabas. Can you imagine? My heart goes out nga to those who graduated. Can you imagine? Wala kang prom.
So, we could even consider the pandemic to be a trauma, di ba?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a traumatic experience for all of us.
Absolute trauma. It's really, for many of us, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. For many of us, because of what the effects, di ba? People who've lost their jobs, people who've lost their loved ones. Yung talagang, can you imagine to say goodbye? I cannot fathom it, di ba? So people actually I see people get inis when somebody says na COVID taught me this. Sabi niya, anong inis? Sabi ko, hindi. The only way we will survive also is if we look at this already as a source of silver lining. So what happened because of COVID? You and your family were able to eat together every day for so long. I've seen people, conversely, moms and daughters na hindi masyado nag-uusap before, now they're best friends.
No choice.
No choice. I mean, I actually have a couple of friends na kanya-kanyang buhay yung mag-ina. And then now, because they can't go out there, they can talk to each other about everything. Parang how wonderful, di ba? You have things like that going on, di ba? So parang, that's why it's also, when we get trauma, the point also, we're into therapy and stuff, but journaling is just one way to help yourself feel better so that you can also rationalize when things become bad, diba? You write down, there's nothing more reassuring than writing your gratitude points in a time of crisis, diba? I've tried that, yung sobrang feeling mo bagsak ka na, you're so sad, you're so ganyan. And then I force myself to write down 5 things that I'm grateful about, including finding a parking space. Things as simple as that.
Right.
Diba? And you realize na pag may parking space ka, wow, diba? Yun.
Right.
Wow, ganda naman ang pagkagawa.
Yan. Ay, nawala. Bakit
diba?
Nawala?
Diba? Ayan na. Diba?
Nawala. Okay. Just to recap,
yep.
So our acronym is WR.I.T.E.
Right.
Ayan na. Nawala siya. Mamaya
Ayan
na lang.
Okay.
So what's your parting shot for our viewers about why they should all journal?
First of all, it's cheaper than therapy. No.
Correct.
I'm just saying, it's you might be surprised, especially if you're not a regular writer. It's the most convenient but very effective way to let those feelings out. Kasi those feelings are not healthy when you keep them in, no? Writing it down. There you go. It's still really self-knowledge and self-help. And you might be surprised when you write something down, you'll feel better. Promise, you'll feel better. It might not happen immediately. It'll take a couple of entries, but you'll feel better. The clarity is something that you may not have expected from something as simple as that, no? Don't be intimidated, please, no? No grammar. Nobody's going to read your journal and say, parang wala kang subject-verb agreement. Hindi. Walang ganyan. So, my other persona as the English review coach is not going to be, para it doesn't matter. I keep telling them it doesn't matter here. So,
Ayan.
Ayan na si Right. What topic?
So,
Review, reflect, time yourself, exit smart. Yeah.
ayan.
Yeah, you can keep that in
Okay.
mind. You can keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind, no? And then,
Yeah.
like I was asking Mirza, I was just so moved by the situation. That's why I decided to post that because I've done a few groups. I have a few groups coming up. So, yeah, she's flashing my FB. Ako na mag-plugging, Myrz, okay lang?
Yes, please
Yeah,
invite them to your
no,
journal writing
it's
sessions.
not. It's just 1 hour. I'm not gonna read. Nobody's gonna read what you write. I'm just gonna go through these pointers plus a few more. Just message me on Facebook, which is the easiest way, or on Instagram. But I check Facebook more, and then we'll set something. We'll set a day. Gather. I have a lot of people now who are waiting for a date. Just give me an hour. I'll give you the pointers, and then just go and try it. I'm just saying that if you've never tried it before, give this a chance. No, I think the more people are able to write. I have so many friends telling me that writing was a lifesaver. Journaling
Right.
was kept them sane. No, writers will tell you that, and then
Right.
So, and I have no qualms. I mean, those who take it, if you have writers in the group, you want to take this stuff and run with it, go ahead. I don't really, there's no ownership here. Parang feeling ko
Right.
you go and do it in your little groups. But the reason why I'm doing it, because I understand more about the
Yes.
kerfuffles in your head. So parang,
Thank you
parang,
for
parang,
helping extract the kerfuffles.
no, my thing is, diba, it's part of my advocacy that, I'm not going to go around pretending I don't have, hiding
Right.
it. So parang,
Right.
if people can learn from my experience, I have like 20 something years living with it. So parang, and if I'm
Thank
still
you.
around, yeah, I'm still around.
Right. Thank you
There.
so much, Alya, for being the bright spot of hope in the dark cloud of pandemic anxiety. You helped so many people today. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yes, please keep
Okay.
it in touch. Okay, thanks so much, Mirza, for
All
this forum.
right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ingat,
Take
ingat.
care.